Hey there everybody, welcome to episode 2 of The Hobby. This exciting episode that will be focusing on the new Firestorm Bagration campaign from Flames of War. I'm your host, Dan Davis, and with me as always is James Fisher.
How's it going, guys?
I think it's going pretty well for everybody right now. We all seem to be really excited about this new Firestorm campaign box. I know there was some trouble with it getting out, but it finally came out, and I think the wait was worth it. Let's start out by having James explain to us a little bit about what was in the box.
Right, and when you want to take things big scale, that brings us to the Total War section. Basically, these are just some new add-on rules in a new mission in place, so you can play a much larger scale game and how to incorporate multiple groups of companies fighting against each other. Some of the really neat rules it incorporates is different random deployment rules for guys like Rangers, Fallschirmjägers, paratroopers, that kind of thing, recon troops. Basically, if you can't place them on the board in time that you're given to set up, these guys can come in reserve from anywhere on the table. So basically, they could be coming in from behind your enemy, and which could really change the way the battle is fought. So the Total War thing is a really neat thing to add to your games, especially if you play with a lot of large groups and you're looking to add things to your game to make it a little bit more large group friendly. Total War is definitely the way to go.
And what if you want to go the other direction? What if you want to play a quicker game, but you want to play Flames of War?
Well, the really neat thing is if you want to take it even smaller, going on the complete opposite scale, the Partisans and Polezia rules give you that. What its main thing it does structurally as far as game mechanics go is it treats all all teams rather as a platoon. So you take every rule that says platoon and then you apply that rule to each individual team. So you're going to be playing with only a handful of teams instead of a handful of platoons.
And I think you brought up a really interesting point when we were going over this last week. You said that this kind of opens the door to taking the Flames of War rule system and maybe blowing it up to another scale, like maybe 20 or 28 millimeter.
Yeah, if you ever thought that the Flames of War system was really cool and wanted to play this with 28 millimeter or some other kind of system, but you just couldn't quite figure out how to make it work, especially with ranges or the size of the bases, that kind of thing.
You just don't want to sit there and substitute assault rifle for las rifle.
Right.
You want to do something a little bit more complicated.
This is really great because basically what you can do is with each team you just apply those attributes and one model would then equal one team for the rules. So it definitely lends itself to some expansion there. And this particular set of rules focuses on the skirmishes between the German Polezia actions against the Russian Partisans. And it has a couple of missions added in there with a couple of special rules for different kinds of heroes and things to make it a little bit more tie-in with the whole Bagration theme. And it lends itself once again to expanding out to, if you want to take this back to mid-war and throw in your SAS and your long-range reconnaissance patrol guys raiding, German airfields in the northern desert, or you could take this back to late war and take it over to the Normandy side and substitute the partisans in for the French resistance against, the Germans' Polezia action there again. It really lends itself up to opening up.
And again, blowing it up to a bigger scale, you could sit there and bring out those 28 millimeter World War II guys that you've been wanting to paint, where you could do a little bit more detail on, and play those smaller scale missions with the bigger models.
Absolutely.
Going back to the Bagration box set, I think I would refer to this box set as the exit door for the imagination, because you bring up a really good point, James, in that every aspect of the Bagration book is really well themed and flavored for this Bagration campaign. But strip away all the Bagration verbiage and you have left behind the skeleton for doing anything you want, at any scale, at any time. And I think that's a really neat tool that Battlefront has provided us with as gamers, is the ability to take this tool and use it to go out there and do anything we want gaming-wise.
Right. Yeah. The book itself is just absolutely brilliant. When you look at the production of it, the artwork in it, the full color pages on every page, the detail they go into in the particular campaign they're covering here, the leaders that are involved, the particular units that are involved, it's just absolutely amazing the work that's gone into this.
Oh yeah.
But if you just take all that pretty artwork and replace it now with artwork of any other period that you're interested in, the system will work very well with it.
The system will work with any models and any scale, because like I say, they've provided you with the skeleton to work with anything. So, all in all, I'd say an A minus.
I'd give it an A minus, and the only reason why, just a couple of negative things, so we don't come off as complete fanboys. Personally, I thought that going through reading the rules to the campaign and to the board game itself were a little bit difficult for me to grasp the first time I read it. But it could just be me and trying to overthink it, and this was a little bit more simple than what I was possibly first thinking of.
Another thing I found interesting about the rule book, more in a negative way, is that I know that with Battlefront they like to give you flavor and kind of explanations in regular text, and then when it's actually a hard and fast rule, they italicize it. But I found that there were some sections in the book where they italicized some things that, it just didn't sound like a hard and fast rule. Like, for example, the planning phase. Is it really an actual rule to have to sit down and make notes about what it is you're going to do? You know what I mean? It's kind of more of a suggestion-y sort of a thing as opposed to a hard and fast rule. I think they kind of broke the template with that. But otherwise, I mean, I know it's a really little thing to bring up, but...
And a few other nitpicky negatives. The battle arrows, they give you 10, but in certain situations you have the ability to actually have 12, so you're short 2 battle arrows if you want to have all battle arrows on the table at the same time. It's not necessarily a game breaker or anything like that, but if you just want to be able to have all your battle arrows before proceeding on to anything else, then that's a little deterrent.
Well, we have played the game and read through the stories and played a little bit with some of the extra rules, and I have to say that we've had a really good time with all of it. We would highly suggest you run out and buy at least one copy for your gaming group. It gets a little bit hard to get everybody to read the rules and understand them with only one copy of the book. But really, you only need one copy of the game. It would just be nice if you could somehow get multiple copies of the book.
Yeah, if I could suggest anything to Battlefront is to please release the book by itself, because the book is worth the price of the whole box set, just because of all the things we discussed, all the different ways you can expand your game. This is basically just a force multiplier for your game.
Right. I guess in hindsight, if you say that the book is worth what everything that comes in the box, or the price of the box, then just buy another box set, and then that way you can replace your broken airplanes.
Yeah, that's true.
Then you have extra little tiny tanks.
For some of us, though, that hopes the Battlefront wouldn't charge us that much for the book, please, Battlefront, release the book by itself.
Yes.
I'd like to thank everybody for the feedback that they've been giving us on our early war project. We're still working on it, and right now our next step is to get German list up, so the people that are already looking at the Polish list have something to compare it to.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen that Polish list already, you can just go to earlywar.com and download it. It's there on the homepage at Early War, or you can go to thehobbystudios.com and click over to Early War from there.
And it's possible that by the time you watch this episode, you may also be able to see something a little bit more Germanic.
There you go. Thehobbystudios.com, also we want to talk about, go to that, thehobbystudios.com, and see fun articles, Flames of War downloads, and you can even watch The Hobby, plus more. There's always more.
There's always more. We're adding new content every week to the site, so please come back and look.
There you go. All right, well, again, thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Up next episode, we want to talk a little bit about the Stalingrad terrain, or the city fight terrain, really, that we've been making. I know we've posted some photos on thehobbystudios.com, and we've also put some photos up on the Flames of War message board. But we'd kind of like to go into a little bit of detail about how we made that, what our thought process was, and some of the projects that we're working on now to build our table of city dwellings even larger. So look for that in the next episode, and thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
And as always, thanks a lot, and please write us back and let us know what you think. Goodbye.